In this video, we will talk about variables and data types. So to understand this, let us say you have a software in your college where you need to store some data about student like student name, roll number, percentage, etc. So to store all of these data, we need some temporary space in memory, and we can get this space by creating some variables. And variable is nothing but the name of a memory block which we will use to store the data in the memory and to retrieve the data from the memory. Now to create variables, we need to specify what type of value we are going to store in this memory. Because if you look at this example, our student name is going to be a set of characters, or you can say a string, and roll number is going to be a number, and this percentage is a decimal value. So to specify what type of value we are going to store in a variable, we have 8 primitive data types and some non-primitive data types like array, class, interface, etc., which we will cover in a separate video. So now let us first understand what are these primitive data types. So as you can see, in primitive data types, we have numeric and non-numeric values. And in numeric values, we have integer and real values. And in non-numeric values, we have character and boolean. So there are 4 integer numeric data types in Java, which are byte, short, int and long. And all these 4 data types can store only integer values like 1, 2, 10, 11, etc. The only difference between these 4 data types is that they take different space in memory and they have different ranges to store these integer values. And if we want to store decimal values, which means values like 10.1, 11.4, 400.4, then we need to use float and double. And similarly here also, the only difference between these 2 data types is that they take different space in memory and they have different ranges. And we will talk about their sizes and ranges later in this video. Now if we want to store alphabetical characters in our program, then we have a data type called char. And if we want to store any boolean value which can be either true or false, then we have a special data type called boolean. So now let's see how much space these data types take in memory and what are their ranges. Now as you can see in the integer data types, byte takes only 1 byte in memory and its range is -128 to 127, which means it cannot store values smaller than -128 and values greater than 127. And if we want to store values above this range, then we can either use short, int or long. Now short data type takes 2 bytes in memory and its range is between -32768 to +32767. And then int take 4 bytes in memory and its range is higher than both byte and short. And then long takes 8 bytes in memory and it can store really large values. So if you already know that the value that you are going to store is integer value and it is very big, then you can choose this long data type, otherwise you can use int. Similarly in floating data types also, float takes 4 bytes of space in memory and double takes 8 bytes of space in memory. And this is the range of float and this is the range of double. Now this character data type takes 4 bytes of space in memory and the size of this boolean data type is JVM dependent. So now that we have understood variables and data type, now let's talk about some of the rules which we need to follow while creating variables. So all the variable names should always start with a letter, that means A to Z, a $sign or an underscore. So these are some of the valid variable names and these are some of the invalid variable names. The second rule is a keyword cannot be used as a variable name. So there are some keywords in Java like class, static, int, continue, etc. And we cannot use these keywords as our variable names. The next rule is your variable name should not contain spaces and any special characters other than $ and underscore. So as you can see, the variable name roll number with a space is invalid and the roll underscore number is a valid variable name. And most importantly, variable name are case sensitive, which means age with capital A and age with small a are 2 different variable names. So these are some of the rules that you should keep in mind while creating a variable. Now let's do a quick practical of data types and see how we can make our variables in Java program. So open Notepad and type this code. In this program we have created a class student and we are storing the details of student, which are student name, roll number and percentage. So to store name, we are using string data type, and string is a non-primitive data type in Java, which we will discuss in a separate video. For now, you can remember that whenever we want to store names in our Java program, we use string data type. And then to store roll number, we are using int data type. And then to store percentage of student, we are using float data type. And as you can see, we have assigned the values to these variables using this equal operator. And then we have these three system.out.println, and inside this we are passing a string and a variable name. So this will display the value of these variables on the screen, and we have this plus operator between these strings and variables. So always remember, in Java we can use plus operator to concatenate the string and variables. So now let's run this program. Open your command prompt and move to the location where we have saved this file, and then type javac space student.java. And now to run our program, we need to type java space student. So as you can see, John is the name of our student, and 20 is the roll number, and 65.4 is the percentage value. Now if you want to display these three values in a single line, so how can you do that? So just go back to the notepad and remove this ln from this print function, and now come back to command prompt and compile your code and then run your code. Now as you can see, this time all these messages and values are displayed in a single line, which means this ln in this system.out.println is used to specify new line. So in this video we have understood the concept of data type and variables, and in the next video we will learn type conversion. So I will see you in the next video.